your cat just meowed at you. Do you actually know what that meant? Most owners brush it off as background noise, but your cat has been speaking to you very deliberately, in a language it literally invented just for humans. And if you're misreading it, which most owners do, you're missing messages they give you every single day. Stick around till the end, because we're covering the one voice change almost every owner misses, the one that actually matters most. Let's get into what their voice really means. They didn't develop meowing for other cats, they developed it for you. So why does your cat actually talk to you? Most people assume meowing is just how cats communicate, period. End of story. But here's the thing. Adult cats almost never meow to each other in the wild. Researchers have documented this for years. Feral cats, the ones who grow up without humans, meow far less than house cats, and when they do, it's mostly during kittenhood. The meow you hear from your cat all day long, that's not how their species talks. That's how they talk to you. Dr. John Bradshaw and other feline researchers have studied this extensively. When cats were first domesticated around 10,000 years ago, they were largely solitary hunters. They didn't need a complicated voice. They used scent, body language, and rubbing to communicate with other cats. But when humans came into the picture, something fascinating happened. Cats noticed that we don't speak cat. We're slow, easily distracted, and we look the wrong way. So they developed a vocal channel to break through to us specifically. That little meow your cat just made, it's not random, it's a tool they evolved over thousands of years to reach across species and talk directly to a human. Kittens are actually born knowing how to meow. In the wild, they use it to call their mother when they're cold, hungry, or separated. As they grow into adults, that behaviour fades out, because a cat who can hunt and fend for itself doesn't need to cry for help anymore. But domestic cats never lose it. Living with humans has kept our cats in a kind of permanent kittenhood, at least vocally. You're the mother figure they never stopped calling for. That's part of why a meow is so hard to ignore. It hits a frequency range that pulls at the same instincts an infant's cry does. Your cat isn't randomly loud. Evolution built that voice specifically to work on you. By the way, if your cat's voice ever suddenly changes, gets louder, goes quiet, or starts sounding off, don't brush it off. We'll get into what that really means at the end, and it's one of the most important things every cat owner needs to know. Each sound your cat makes is also a different message. Most owners think a meow is a meow. It isn't. Your cat has an entire vocabulary, and once you start paying attention, you can hear it. The short, soft meow is usually a greeting, a quick hello, you're here, I see you. The long, drawn-out meow is almost always a request. Feed me, open the door, let me in. The mid-pitched meow is often a complaint, and the high-pitched, sharp meow can mean pain, surprise, or anger. Then there are the sounds people forget aren't even technically meows. The chirp is that little staccato sound your cat makes when they're watching birds or greeting you. And it comes straight from mother-kitten communication. Mama cats chirp at their kittens to call them, so when your cat chirps at you, they're using one of the most affectionate sounds in their vocabulary. Some researchers believe the bird-watching chirp is actually a leftover hunting instinct, a kind of frustrated, involuntary twitch of the vocal cords that happens when a predator sees prey it can't reach. But when that same chirp is aimed at you, walking in the door or opening a can, it has shifted into a greeting, borrowed from the exact sound a mother uses to say, "Follow me, come here." The trill is a soft rolling sound somewhere between a meow and a purr, and it's another friendly greeting. Trilling is almost always a sign of trust. It's worth noting that trilling requires a level of vocal control that a hiss or a growl doesn't. It's a deliberate, controlled roll of the tongue and throat, which is part of why researchers consider it one of the clearest signs of a relaxed, secure cat. A cat who trills at you the moment you walk in is essentially saying, "I've been waiting for you, and I'm glad you're here," without an ounce of anxiety behind it. Then there's the yowl, the long, mournful, drawn-out sound that can mean distress, confusion, mating, or in older cats, sometimes confusion from cognitive decline. There's also a sound many owners never learn the name for, the chatter, that fast, clicking, almost stuttering sound cats make with their jaw when they're staring at a bird or squirrel through a window. Some researchers think it's a mimicry of a killing bite, a kind of muscle memory misfire that happens when prey is visible but unreachable. Others think it's pure frustration, the vocal equivalent of clenched fists. Either way, if your cat chatters at the window, they are not relaxed in that moment. They're in full hunt mode with nowhere to direct it. And finally, the hiss, the growl, and the spit. These aren't communication with you. These are warnings. Back off. I'm uncomfortable. I'm done. Respect them. Cats are remarkably patient with humans, and a hiss is almost always preceded by signals you missed. Ears flattening, tail flicking, body going still. The hiss is the last warning before a swat or a bite, not the first one. If you're regularly getting hissed at, the truth is, your cat has probably been telling you in quieter ways for a while, and the hiss is what happens when those quieter signals get ignored. Each one of these sounds is its own message. Your cat isn't being noisy. They're talking. The question is whether you're listening. And hey, if this is making sense to you, do me a favour and smash that like button and subscribe. It's the best way to help us reach more pet owners who actually care about understanding their pets on a deeper level. On top of that, they build a custom vocabulary just for you. Here's something even more interesting. Your cat's voice isn't just generic cat language, it's personalised. Researchers studying cat vocalizations have found that domestic cats develop unique vocal patterns with their specific humans. Each cat figures out, by trial and error, which sounds get a reaction from you. If a certain meow gets you to open the food cupboard, they file it away. If a particular trill makes you reach down to pet them, that one gets used more. Over months and years, your cat builds a vocabulary that works specifically on you. Another cat in another home would have a different vocabulary tailored to that human. This is why two people who each own a cat can compare notes and be genuinely confused by each other's descriptions. One owner swears their cat has a specific, unmistakable meow that only means the water bowl is empty. Another owner has never heard anything like it from their own cat, but has their own equally specific sound that means the litter box needs attention. These aren't different breeds or different instincts. It's the same species, running the same trial and error learning process, just landing on different results, because every household reinforces different sounds. This is also why your cat may talk back when you talk to them. Cats can learn that vocal exchange itself is a form of attention. So the back and forth meow conversation a lot of owners have with their cats, that's not your imagination. To your cat, that's social interaction. They've learned that if you make a sound, they make a sound, and the bond gets reinforced. Interestingly, some cats will even adjust the pitch or length of their meow, depending on how you respond. If a short meow gets ignored, but a longer, more urgent-sounding one gets you to turn around, most cats will start leaning on the longer version more and more over time. It's not scripted, it's shaped, one interaction at a time, the same way any learned behaviour is. Then there's the purr, and it's hiding something sneakier than you think. Everyone knows cats purr when they're happy, but the truth about purring is much more complicated, and the science behind it is genuinely surprising. In 2009, Dr. Karen McComb at the University of Sussex published a study in the journal Current Biology that changed how we think about cat purring. Her team noticed that when cats wanted food, their purrs sounded subtly different from when they were just relaxed. So they recorded both kinds of purrs and analysed the frequencies. What they found was wild. Hidden inside the I want something purr was a high-frequency cry in roughly the same range as a human baby's cry. They called it the solicitation purr. When the team played both types of purrs to human listeners, even people who didn't own cats consistently rated the solicitation purr as more urgent and less pleasant. The hidden cry triggers something in the human brain. We're wired to respond to baby cries, and your cat has essentially learned to embed that signal into an otherwise pleasant sound. Now, this isn't manipulation in a malicious way. Your cat isn't plotting against you. But over thousands of years of living with humans, cats have evolved to hit exactly the right frequencies to get your attention. Think of the cat that jumps on your chest at 5 a.m, purring right next to your ear until you get up and fill the bowl. That's the solicitation purr in action. That's not just affection. That's a precision tool. Purring also has other meanings. Cats purr when they're sick, in pain, or even close to death. Some researchers believe the vibrations of a purr have a self-soothing or even healing function for the cat itself. The frequency range most commonly measured in cat purrs, roughly between 25 and 150 Hz, overlaps with frequencies that have been shown in some studies to support bone density and tissue repair. That's led to a theory that cats may have evolved purring partly as a low-energy way to promote healing while resting, since much of a cat's life, especially an injured or sick cat's life, is spent lying still. So a purring cat isn't always a happy cat. Pay attention to context. A cat purring while kneading on your lap after dinner is a very different situation than a cat purring while hunched in a corner refusing to eat. They've also learned exactly when to use their voice on you. Pay attention to when your cat talks to you the most. For most cats, it's not random, it's surgical. The moment you walk into the kitchen, the second you sit up in bed, the exact time of morning when food usually appears, the minute you walk through the front door, your cat has memorized your routine, and they've learned which moments are most likely to result in food, attention, or affection. That's when their voice comes out the strongest. This is one of the most documented signs of feline intelligence. Cats are excellent at learning cause and effect. They figure out which sounds get which responses, and they deploy them at the exact moments those responses are most likely. If you've ever felt like your cat knows when you're about to feed them, you're right. They've catalogued every signal in your morning routine, from the alarm to the coffee maker, and matched their voice to it. Some cats take this even further, learning the sound of a specific app opening on your phone if it's the one you use to order their food delivery, or the particular rustle of a treat bag versus a regular grocery bag. To you, it might just feel like your cat is being chatty. To them, it's a finely tuned system that's been working on you for years. There's also a seasonal and time of day layer to this. Many indoor cats become noticeably more vocal around dawn and dusk, which lines up with their natural crepuscular hunting instincts, the periods when their wild ancestors would have been most active hunting small prey. If your cat gets loud at 6 a.m, or right around sunset, it's not just about food. Part of it is instinct telling them, this is when the world should be waking up. Here's where it goes both ways though. They're listening to your voice too. Your cat isn't just talking. They're listening, and they're picking up far more from your voice than most owners realise. Research has shown that cats can distinguish their own owner's voice from a stranger's voice, even when both are calling their name. A widely cited study out of Japan, led by researcher Atsuko Saito, played recordings of several different people, including the owner, saying the cat's name in a neutral tone, and tracked the cat's responses. The cats reliably reacted more, ear movements, head turns, pupil changes, to their own owner's voice than to a stranger's, even without any visual cues. That's the same reason your cat's ear flicks toward you the second you call their name from another room, but barely reacts when a guest does the exact same thing. They also respond differently based on the tone you're using. A high, soft, playful voice usually gets your cat's attention and engagement. A low, harsh voice usually gets caution or retreat. Your cat doesn't understand your words the way another human would, but they're absolutely reading your emotional tone. This is part of why cats often seem to react to a sad or stressed owner. They're not psychic. They're picking up real shifts in your voice, your breathing, and your posture. The way you speak when you're upset sounds noticeably different from how you speak when you're calm, and your cat has been studying those patterns since the day they moved in. Some behaviourists also point out that cats pick up on the rhythm of speech more than the specific words. A calm, slow, low-pitched string of sentences will often settle a nervous cat, which is part of why talking to your cat in a soothing tone during a vet visit or a car ride actually helps, even though they have no idea what you're saying. So that conversation you have with your cat, where they look up at you and meow back, they're not just making noise, they're responding to what they hear in you. And when their voice suddenly changes, that's when you need to listen closely. What does it mean when a cat who has always been chatty suddenly goes silent? Or a cat who has always been quiet suddenly starts yowling at all hours? This is the part every cat owner needs to understand, and it's the part too many people miss until it's too late. Cats are creatures of pattern. When their voice changes in a noticeable, lasting way, they're trying to tell you something important. Sometimes the reason is medical. Excessive vocalization in older cats is a classic sign of hyperthyroidism, a common but treatable condition caused by an overactive thyroid gland, which speeds up metabolism and often leaves cats restless, hungry all the time, and unusually vocal, especially at night. Loud, repetitive nighttime yowling in senior cats can also signal cognitive decline, similar to dementia in humans, sometimes called feline cognitive dysfunction, where affected cats become disoriented, forget familiar routines, and cry out because they genuinely seem confused about where they are. Picture a 15-year-old cat crying in the middle of the hallway at 2 a.m. For no clear reason, that's often exactly what this looks like. It can also point to hearing loss, which causes cats to vocalize louder because they can't hear themselves clearly, the same reason people with hearing loss sometimes speak more loudly than they realize. Sudden hoarseness or loss of voice can point to respiratory issues, or in some cases, growths or inflammation affecting the larynx, which is worth a vet visit rather than a wait-and-see approach. And a normally vocal cat going completely silent can mean pain, dental problems, or systemic illness, since cats are notorious for hiding pain. In the wild, showing weakness makes you a target. A sudden drop in vocalization is sometimes the only visible clue that something is wrong, long before other symptoms show up. Other times, the reason is environmental. A new pet, a new person, a change in routine or living space. Cats are extremely sensitive to changes in their territory, and a stressed cat may either get louder or shut down completely, depending on their personality. Moving to a new home, rearranging furniture, even a change in litter brand can be enough to shift a cat's vocal patterns for a few days or weeks while they adjust. And sometimes it's emotional. Cats grieve. Cats notice when a household member, human or animal, is gone. A cat who suddenly stops talking after losing a companion isn't being moody, they're processing. It's also worth mentioning that spaying or neutering, medication changes, and even aging joints that make jumping or moving around painful can all quietly shift how much a cat talks. None of these are things a cat can explain to you directly, so their voice, or the sudden absence of it, becomes the clearest signal available. It's also worth saying, not every cat speaks the same amount, and that's normal. One thing that trips up a lot of first-time owners is assuming every cat should sound the same. They don't. Some breeds, like Siamese and other Oriental breeds, are famously vocal, almost conversational, commenting on everything from an empty food bowl to a closed door. Other breeds and many mixed breed cats are naturally quieter, communicating far more through body language, posture and eye contact than sound. Personality plays just as big a role as breed. Cats who are handled and talked to frequently as kittens often grow up more vocal, having learned early that using their voice gets a response. Cats who spent more time alone or with less human interaction as kittens may lean more heavily on body language their whole lives. Neither pattern is better or worse, it's simply a difference in how each individual cat learned to communicate, shaped by genetics, breed, and early experience. This matters because comparing your quiet cat to your neighbour's chatty cat, or your current cat to a childhood pet, can lead you to misread perfectly normal behaviour as a problem, or worse, miss it when your naturally quiet cat does become unusually vocal, which is actually a bigger red flag for a quiet cat than a chatty one. So how do you actually respond so your cat feels heard? since your cat has built an entire vocabulary just for you. It's worth knowing how to respond in a way that strengthens that bond, rather than confusing it. First, respond consistently. If a specific meow means your cat wants the door open, respond to it the same way most of the time. Cats learn through repetition, and inconsistent responses make it harder for them to trust that their communication works. Second, use your voice back. Cats pick up on tone far more than words, so a calm, warm tone when you talk back to your cat reinforces the sense of safety and connection they associate with vocal exchange. Third, don't respond to vocalization with punishment or yelling. Since a lot of vocalizing is either a request or a sign of stress, responding with frustration teaches a cat that talking leads to a negative outcome, which can cause them to either escalate or shut down entirely, neither of which solves the underlying need. Fourth, watch the body alongside the sound. Ears, tail position, pupils and posture all add context to a vocalization, and reading them together gives you a far clearer picture than the sound alone ever could. The key, like everything else with cats, is paying attention. Your cat developed an entire language just for you. They use it every single day. If their voice changes, if the rhythm of the conversation shifts, if the meows they use to greet you at the door stop coming, that's not nothing. That's communication. So listen, watch, and if something feels off, get them to a vet. Because that little voice, that meow, that chirp, that trill you've gotten so used to, was never just noise. It was them talking to you, and it deserves to be heard. So tell me, what type of meow does your cat make the most? Drop it in the comments below.